You don't need the Bible to defend the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. You may be wondering, how's that possible? And even the thumbnail of this video may have been intriguing to you, and you might have been wondering what that was all about. I recently started a new book. This is a book by Mike Licona and David Beck. It's actually a book they edited, written by a multitude of authors that are essays in honor of the work of Dr. Gary Habermas. If you don't know who he is a scholar among scholars that has done a lot of the groundwork in defending the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But in this book, the subtitle of this book says "Defending the Historicity of the Resurrection of Jesus." And each essay or chapter deals with various aspects of things that Dr. Gary Habermas has been influential in developing in the scholarly work, or even just things that he finds fascinating that he's worked a lot with. And so chapter 1 of this book, or essay 1, is from Robert B. Stewart. And he looks at an argument that Dr. Habermas often uses in defending the reliability and the historicity of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And this argument is called the minimal facts argument. And basically, like the name implies, there's a minimal number of facts that are agreed upon that he uses as a baseline to help defend the historicity of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. Now, there are qualifying factors of these minimal facts, and I'm going to read them out to you now. Number 1 would say that each event has to be established by more than adequate scholarly evidence, and usually by several critically ascertained independent lines of argumentation. 2, additionally, the vast majority of contemporary scholars in relevant fields have to acknowledge the historicity of the occurrence. Now, with that in mind, what are the minimal facts that Dr. Gary often uses? Well, number 1, Gary often uses that Jesus died by crucifixion as one of his minimal facts. This is something that is agreed upon within the literature and modern scholarly opinion of what we have in the data today. Number 2, Jesus' disciples believed that they had experiences with the risen Jesus after his death. Number 3, the church persecutor Paul was suddenly changed. And number 4, the skeptic James, brother of Jesus, was suddenly changed. Really, the argument rests on these first 3 minimal facts, but there are others that they called like second order facts and +1 facts, but those are outside the scope of this video. The question that is answered by Dr. Stewart in this chapter that I had is why this method in defending the historicity of the resurrection of Jesus? Well, number 1, it enables you to remain focused on the issues at hand. Oftentimes when we look at theology or philosophy, we can go down a deep rabbit trail and get distracted, but using minimal facts enables you to remain focused on the arguments at hand and the facts at hand. Number 2, this does not require biblical reliability. And this comes back to the thumbnail of the video. You don't need the Bible to establish these minimal facts to defend the historicity of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. Now, why is this important? Well, because this makes it effective for non-believers and skeptics who do not hold to or affirm the inerrancy of Scripture or the infallibility of Scripture or the inspiration of Scripture. Fill in the blank. These minimal facts are undisputed with over 90% of the scholars in this given field. Now, a lot of these scholars are not Christians. You have agnostics like Bart Ehrman, who leans atheist. You have hardcore ardent atheists in this group of scholars. Of course, you have Christians, but over 90% of the scholars in this relevant field of research agree that Jesus died by crucifixion, that his disciples had experiences that they believed were with the risen Jesus, and that Paul, the persecutor of the church, was suddenly and rapidly changed. Now, I want to read you a quote from the chapter that I found just illuminating and fascinating. Dr. Stewart says, "That the minimal facts argument gets off the ground is testimony to how strong the historical evidence for the resurrection actually is. The argument demonstrates that there is more than enough evidence for an objective person to conclude that it is very likely that Jesus was raised from the dead, or at least to admit that it is possible that Jesus was raised from the dead. At the very least, Habermas's minimal facts argument demonstrates that those denying the historicity of the resurrection of Jesus have not proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. I found this fascinating. If these facts are reliable, let's see what the earliest sources had to say about these things. And that's where I think we can help push towards the Gospels, push towards the writings of Paul, and really lean into the text of Scripture, knowing that these are facts that are agreed upon within the literature and within the scholarship dealing with this field of research. So anyway, that's my video for you guys today. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please subscribe. Please share with a friend or a family member. The work of Gary Habermas and Mike Licona is wonderful for just helping solidify these things. I'm going to leave a link to the book in the description. I'm going to leave a link to Mike Licona's YouTube channel. Both resources are just phenomenal, and I would encourage you to check that out. I'm also going to link an article, or actually an interview that was done on Capturing Christianity on these minimal facts and defending the resurrection. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching. I will see you guys after the holidays. God bless.